Alrighty, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Den, and tonight we're going over the most recent game, New Jersey Devils versus the Florida Panthers. Devils lose 5-3 in regulation to the Florida Panthers. Now, before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to every single person who is currently watching my videos, liking the videos, commenting, subscribing. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. We are currently sitting at 76 subscribers. Our goal for the end of March is 80. We are 4 subs away from reaching our March goal. Again, I wanted to give a huge thank you to every single one of you guys who have come out in force every single time for each of these videos. It has been the growth of this channel over this season and last season has been absolutely fantastic. We have almost doubled our sub count from last season to this season. So first and foremost, thank you very much. And if you're not already subbed, please go ahead, hit the sub button. We're 4 subs away. Let's get to 80 by the end of March because I've got brand new content for you guys that I can't wait to roll out. So, let's talk about tonight's game. Devils lose 5-3 to the Florida Panthers, the juggernaut Florida Panthers, who, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really expecting a win tonight. Really wasn't. 1, the Devils aren't playing very well. 2, they're the Florida freaking Panthers who are like 9-0-1 or 9-1-0 in like the last 10. Probably going to be the #1 team at the end of the season for the Eastern Conference, if not the #1 team in the league. Okay, so obviously big news for the New Jersey Devils. Lindy Ruff has been terminated by the New Jersey Devils. He is no longer a part of the organization, and he has been relieved of his duties by Tom Fitzgerald. So, what does this mean? What does this mean for the team? Well, it means that a lot of people got what they wanted, right? A lot of people wanted Ruff gone. I myself was not a fan of Ruff this season. I also kind of wanted him gone, okay? It means in terms of what our team looks like now, there's not a whole lot of difference. We are getting the associate coach. What's his first name? Something Green. He's going to be the new head coach, the interim head coach until most likely the off season. We're probably going to go and give a nice hard long look at who we want to lead the team in the coaching capacity into next season. I don't see a coaching change happening until the end of the season. I think that Fitz is kind of happy to just let things go and be like, okay, we'll give Travis Green. There we go. Couldn't remember the name. We're going to let Green kind of ride out the rest of the season with the Devils. Most likely, he's going to run the same system that Ruff was running. I don't see him making any grand plans in how he wants to run this team for the last 20 games of the season. I just don't see it happening. Hey, if he does, we'll try it out. We'll see how that works. But he's been on the bench with Ruff the entire season. I don't particularly see a style of play changing for the rest of the season, but who knows? I guess we'll see what we have in the last 20 games or so. So yeah, Lindy Ruff terminated, fired from his job after a multi-year contract extension at the end of last year. We all kind of saw this coming. We all kind of knew it was coming. We all kind of hoping that it was coming because Ruff has not moved this team in a direction where it needed to be. Obviously, not all the fault for this season is solely on Ruff, but it's a change that had to happen. Should it have happened earlier? Yeah, probably. Should it have waited till the end of the season? I don't know. Anyways, Ruff is now gone. Travis Green is the new interim head coach, most likely until the end of the season. Like I said, I don't see us picking up a coach in any time soon. So, let's talk about the game really quickly, and then I've got another couple of topics I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to try to make this video not so long. So, like I said, wasn't really looking for a win tonight. I wasn't really expecting a win. The game was actually a lot closer than I had originally thought. So, first period wasn't great. Wasn't great. Devils almost immediately in the first 10 minutes go down 2-0. Luckily, moving into the second period, we end up getting this game tied up at 2-2. And I go, okay, I'm listening, I'm waiting. All right, 2-2 against Florida. That's not bad. And almost immediately after we scored the second goal, like a minute to like 2 minutes after the second goal goes in, Florida takes the lead and it's now 3-2. They then double up on their lead to 4-2, which is a continuing trend this entire game. They go up 2-0, we tie it 2-2. They go up 4-2, we make it 4-3, and then they score the empty netter to make it a 5-3 win for Florida. They get their 2 points. We go from there. There's been a lot of negative recently, especially from me, so I'm going to try to name 3 things that I actually liked about this game. Number 1, Jack Hughes getting a goal and assist. I thought it's always great when we see Jack being productive. Number 2, Timo Meier, the second goal, where he basically says, "Giddy up, boys, get on my back. I'm gonna crawl and push and drag us to the finish line." What a second goal! What a perfect power forward goal. Okay, puck is literally at the guy's feet. He's got like 2 Florida guys on his back, and he's like, "No, I got this, guys. I got this." And he kicks it to himself, holds one of them back with one arm, and with the other arm knocks the puck into the net, and it goes 2-2. It's so nice to see Timo Meier getting Timo Meier power forward goals. You'll love to see it. We want to see more of it, hence the contract that he got at the end of last year. So, Timo was great. And number 3, did I just do this? Number 3, Colin Miller. I thought that Colin Miller had a great game tonight. I really do. Take his slap shot goal, which was great. Take that, and we're going to put that over here for now. I thought that his defensive efforts were actually really great tonight. He made a couple of really good knockaway plays with his stick. He was able to tie up guys when they were coming down on 2-on-1. His shot blocking was great tonight. Guy managed to deflect a couple of really good opportunities in front of the net. And the 2-on-1, I think it was it late in the second or in the third? I think it was the second. I'm pretty sure it was the second period. Second period where it goes 2-on-1, and he's literally jumping back and forth to like defend each guy by himself, and does end up stopping that 2-on-1 from even reaching the net. So Colin Miller, I thought, had a great game. That slap shot goal, though, was blistering, okay? I didn't even realize it had gone in until they had said, yeah, that actually went in. And to be honest, I don't think most of the guys in the ice when that puck went in. It was an absolute bomb from the point. So, Jack Hughes being productive, always great to see. Timo Meier being Timo Meier and scoring a power forward goal, great to see. And Colin Miller's defensive efforts, fantastic. Now, those are my 3 things. Now, speaking of defensive efforts, we should talk about one of the controversies that was leaked ahead of the game, which was Simon Nemec being a healthy scratch for tonight's game. A lot of people are not happy about that. I kind of see both sides of it, to be honest with you. Obviously, I don't like seeing, arguably, our best defenseman scratched. Never like that. You don't want to see one of your best defensive guys, who's really shown his colors throughout this season and has been a really steady hand on the defensive back end of the puck. I get not wanting to see him scratched myself. You don't want to see him scratched. I just had a Freudian slip there. However, if I may play devil's advocate, that's a bad joke. I know it's a bad joke. But if I may play devil's advocate for a second, okay? I'm going to give you 3 points as to why I think Nemec being scratched isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, okay? Number 1, do any of us see the Devils legitimately making the playoffs this year? I don't. Obviously, I like them to, but with the style of play they have right now and not a clear sense of direction in terms of coaching, I don't see them making the playoffs. So, giving Nemec a night off here or there to recoup and recover isn't a bad idea. Number 2, I don't think that Nemec being scratched is necessarily a bad idea, because if you've got a guy who's struggling, then ideally, you want to pull him aside, you want to sit him down and go, look, we're going to give you the night, we want you to recoup, we want you to regroup, and we want you back and better than ever. You can break down strategy, you can break down how you want him to play, for example, right? And given that he is our best defenseman right now, in my humble opinion, then yeah, it's something you want to be able to do as a coach, as a leader on the team. You want to be able to have those interactions with your players, okay? And number 3, having him scratched against a team that you probably know you're going, and this is more the practical argument, having him scratched in a game that you know you're probably going to lose against a team that you're never going to catch, again, If Nemec were scratched against a team like Washington, or against a team like the Islanders, or Pittsburgh, or Detroit, or Tampa, those are games that are meaningful games that we absolutely have to. You don't have a choice. You have to win, right? And having him scratched in those kind of games doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and it would be infuriating. But against teams where the games don't really mean a whole lot, in a season where, let's be honest, we're probably not making the playoffs anyways, isn't necessarily a bad idea. We're not catching the Florida. If we beat Florida, great, we get an extra 2 points to help keep the playoff hopes alive. But against a team like Florida, where we're not really chasing them, it's not that much of a bad idea. Okay? That's my 2 takes on the Nemec situation. If he is scratched for consecutive games, I have absolutely no problem of kind of not walking this back, but kind of being like, okay, this is a dumb decision now, please stop. A lot of people I've seen commenting online are saying things like, well, I have no problem if they're going to scratch Nemec for his lack of defensive play, but, hi Luke Hughes, when are we scratching you? Totally get that. Totally understand. And I actually do think that Luke Hughes should probably be scratched for a game or 2. I've even said, I'm not sure if I've said this publicly on here, but I've even said, you know, out and about, that Luke Hughes might need an AHL trip down the road. If you want to send him down to the AHL in the last 5 games of the season, I don't really have that much of an issue with that, because Luke has not played well, has not played anywhere nearly, has not played well whatsoever, especially the last, 5 to 10 games. He's absolutely not, and he's been horrendous on the ice. Right? You want to give other guys on the defense healthy scratch, like Siegenthaler, who also hasn't had a bad season? I'm fine with that too. Anyways, in terms of leadership, there's one last topic I kind of wanted to talk about. We are running on the 13-minute mark, but I want to kind of get this one out. Kind of wanted to make the main point of the video, but here we are. So, Tom Fitzgerald, our Devils GM, our big chief upstairs, okay? He had a press conference. It was about 25-minute, 30-minute press conference in which he basically took any and all questions from reporters. From Lindy Ruff being fired to particular players on the team in terms of where he wants to see the team succeed in the future and presently. And I'm not going to lie, I watched that press conference from start to finish, and I have gained a tremendous amount of respect for Fitzgerald. I really have. I thought he was honest, open, accountable, and just plain and simple. He was there to be like, look, this team is not doing well. I am here for the public, for you guys, reporters, whoever it is, to come and say, what are your problems? Let me see if I can try to answer that. I have never, in all my years of watching hockey, granted I'm still fairly young, but granted, in all the time that I've watched hockey, I have never seen a GM lay himself down at the mercy of reporters to take any and all questions. And to be quite honest with you, I genuinely don't think that a word that he said was bad. I don't. I understand that a lot of people took issue with his comments on Alexander Holtz, and I'm sorry, everything he said about Holtz is absolutely true. I understand that in modern hockey, especially us as fans, all we really care about is who's getting points, who's scoring goals. But I'm sorry, there's more to the game than that. You can't just be, I understand he's a forward, and I understand that people have been really upset about him being on the fourth line for ages, and don't get me wrong, I myself have felt frustrated about Holtz being locked on in the on that fourth line for basically ever and not getting playing minutes. But there's more to hockey than just scoring goals. Okay, I understand that hockey and sports generally is an outcomes-based or a result-based system. I totally get that. But if you're scoring, if you are a guy who scores, and this isn't necessarily a Holt situation, right? This is more of a general rule. If you've got a guy who's scoring 30 goals a season, yeah, he's scoring 30 goals a season, but every single time he's on the ice, he's turning the puck over, and he's causing defensive error after defensive error after defensive error. Yeah, I'm sorry, even if he is scoring 30 goals a season, you're still keeping him down on the third or fourth line, because this is a guy who sort of needs to learn his lesson. That needs to be like, hey, you still have stuff to learn. We're not going to give you all the minutes you desire, because there's still stuff that has to be figured out. Okay? I get that a lot of people want to, there's been the whole, free Holtz, right? I get that. A lot of people thought that this was just a Lindy Ruff thing. But I'm sorry. I think that you're going to see whoever we end up having the head coach of this team next season, if Holtz is still with us at that point, I think you're going to see a similar mentality to Holtz being on the third or fourth line until he gets this through his head. He's a young guy. He's an offensive scorer, and that's great. But you can't cause, repetitive defensive errors all the time. And to be clear, that's not necessarily just a Holtz issue. Jack Hughes is also pretty reprehensible in this area. Sure, he scores a lot of goals. Sure, he's a franchise player. Sure, he's all of these things. And he's good and great. And I've even given him props. But it sort of feels like every time Jack is on the ice recently, he does cause defensive screw-ups. Now, however, he's Jack freaking Hughes. He's never going on the fourth line. Which, granted, is kind of shitty. That because they're superstars, they don't face the same consequences as other guys who aren't like the face of the club, which is kind of shitty. But it's the same way that a guy like Austin Matthews on the Leafs, or Sidney Crosby for Pittsburgh, or Ovechkin on the Capitals, these guys are never seeing third or fourth line time, even if they do screw up. It's not a fair system, it's not a just system, but that's sort of the world we live in, okay? In terms of Fitzgerald talking about letting Ruff go, he genuinely seemed super freaking emotional about it. And it kind of does feel like he didn't want to release Ruff, but felt he had to. And whether that pressure came from fans or from people, in the New Jersey locker room, or from people, around the club, he did what he had to do, and I genuinely, I don't know, I've gained a lot of respect for him. From that press conference, he talked about, saying, hey, I know we're a good club. I know we can be successful, but this year just ain't it. He talked about the goaltending issues. And again, I respect Fitz a lot for just coming out and going, hey, I'm going to try to answer all your questions. I'm going to try to be as accountable. And he openly said, right? The accountability doesn't start with the players. It doesn't start with the players. It doesn't start with the coach. It doesn't start with the goaltending. It doesn't start with the associate coach or Lindy or whoever. You know who he said the accountability starts with? The accountability starts with him. And I think that is a fantastic message that guys can get behind. They go, you know what? There's my GM going to bat for me. There's my GM taking one for the team. And I think that is super respectable, no matter who you are, in what club, in what sport, regardless. So, really big kudos to Fitzgerald. People calling for Fitzgerald to be fired, are you guys okay? Are you guys suffering from a little bit, or what's going on? You want Fitzgerald fired. You want Fitzgerald fired. Oh, God help us all. Anyways, that's my little shindig. I'm going to call it here because we are coming up on the 20-minute mark now. I'm just looking at my timer here. The 20-minute mark. So I'm going to call it here, guys. We play the Blues on Thursday. I don't know if I'm going to be making a video for that game. Unfortunately, I will be out. I have to work, unfortunately, that night. Anyways, I digress. I'll catch you guys on whenever the next game is. Not the Blues game, probably the Rangers game. No. Is it Rangers? I'm pretty sure it's wrong. We play Blues, then we play Rangers, I'm pretty sure. I'll be back for the Rangers game. Adios, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.